Family. That's what it's all about. And in Fantastic Four, First Steps, we, for the first time in a long time in Marvel, got a true depiction of what family should be like.
I'm not gonna lie, when you opened up with family, I thought you were about to go Fast and Furious on me. Dom Toretto's. It's all about family. The dynamic with the four characters, obviously it's Marvel's first family. These characters have always been about family, but we don't really get that in our culture anymore. Not in a way that portrays the nuclear family. And to have a husband and a wife and uncles and family that were all so committed to one another, especially with the baby being born, Franklin, they really portrayed this dynamic on screen that we never really had before. I mean, so many movies don't have a mom or a dad, or something's dysfunctional or something's broken. And yeah, we're nobody's perfect in this life. And so like those things are bound to happen. I'm not saying that's not the case, but at the end of the day, like people resonate with this stuff. And the reason that the characterizations were so good in this versus other Marvel movies in the past, in my opinion, was because we're finally getting back to that relationship dynamic that made the first 10 years of Marvel so great. I haven't seen that in Phase 4 and Phase 5, really. And so to finally have something like Fantastic Four come out, and you really got to sit with the characters, it wasn't all about action, but we really got to know these characters, we got to care about them. And we got to see how every one of them made up something special about the team, and how they all contributed to not only making sure Franklin was safe, but making sure this world was safe. And doing it in 828, Universe 828, made it really special compared to the main MCU timeline, because you really got to see how they cared for the citizens and how the citizens embodied that old school feeling of looking up to superheroes and like seeing the betterment of humanity in them when comic books first came out with Superman and those type of things. And, you know, not to compare it to Superman, but the new Superman, in my opinion, did not do that in the way that Fantastic Four did. That's what I really enjoyed, because we really got back to the roots of humanity, what it means to care for one another, what it means to lean on one another, and give us something that was just character development without any agendas.
From the very beginning of the movie, you see Sue and Mr. Fantastic and the love that they have for each other. I love the playful banter, but I also love the deep, resounding, hey, I love you, I'm not going anywhere. That was depicted really well when they went and tried to take on Galactus. They're coming home, they're trying to escape. She's in the middle of having a baby. And in the middle of contractions, Mr. Fantastic's trying to do all of these different things and try to balance multiple hats, which is much like what he tries to do just in general, with the weightiness of trying to protect the world, but also protect the ones he loves the most. One of the most meaningful scenes to me is when he came back and says, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. And it was depicted that, hey, I need you. He needed her and she needed him. And that's what real life marriage is. You're on a team, you're working together, and there's things that make the woman great and there's things that make the man great, and together, that's how God literally intended it. And then when they come together and they love one another, and what's born of that is a child, and then the love that you have for each other goes out to that child, you literally feel like your heart's gonna break in two because you love that child so much. And they showed that too. Like, I don't care if the whole entire universe is in danger, you're not taking our kid because the universe is in danger. That stood out so much to me in a world that is all about, say it as it is, hookup culture, and a world that, let's just get rid of this problem. They see children as a problem instead of a privilege to be parents. And in this movie, they saw it as a privilege that they got to be parents. Not only the parents, but the uncles, to the point that Johnny Storm was willing to give up his life so that his nephew could stay in a nuclear family, to stay with his mom and dad. That is beautiful to me, and that hasn't been depicted in Marvel to this extent. I don't know if it's ever been depicted like this.
And I'm glad they didn't change what made Fantastic Four so special when it came out in the 60s, because it embodied that culture of what it was like in America at that time. And it wasn't just Johnny, it was Ben too. I mean, he's walking around the streets and stuff, going to get groceries. Everyone's like, hey Ben, what's up? How's Sue? How's the baby? Like, they knew that like not just that, the four of them, but the entirety of New York and that culture, that like world that they were living in, like they all cared about each other. It kind of was a fantasy in some sense, because that's not what our world is like today.
Right.
Even the sense of like all the countries banding together to do this, like that was probably not what would happen in real life. But the great thing was that it embodied this ideal of what our society should be like, what family should be like. And Ben and Johnny, you know, they had their characteristics, but they all had, you know, unique aspects to how they came in and solved the problem. This Johnny had the brains to solve the problem and also sacrifice himself for the family. That has to resonate with so many of you out there. Obviously it's a movie, but like married couples, even people who are dating before they get married, have those kind of conversations. Like, it's a real world stuff, and it made you feel like I can relate to these people. I haven't felt like that since before Endgame.
I thought the show of strength with Sue was so powerful to me because she summoned strength that you hadn't seen in the entire movie to this point, and it was over protecting her son.
Yeah.
So she was literally willing to move giants, figuratively and metaphorically, however you want to say it, to protect her child. She summoned a strength that literally almost sacrificed her life. And then it wasn't until the child was placed on her that she came back to life. It was such a beautiful depiction of the sacrifice that parents are willing to put themselves through for the betterment of their child. Whatever they can do to make sure that their child's life is set up for success, they're willing to do. The whole movie was about sacrifice. They all were willing to play their part for the betterment of something bigger than themselves. And Sue even gave that incredible speech when the people that looked up to them all of a sudden started kind of changing their tune because they felt like they were getting scared. And now we're going to go address this head on. She goes out and she tells them, hey, like, just because I love my son and I'm not willing to give up my son for this doesn't mean that y'all are going to fall to the wayside. They had the opportunity to just get out of there. They chose to stay and to protect the people that they love because they knew that this whole thing was bigger than themselves. That is what true heroism is about, is serving a cause that's bigger than yourself. And we saw the whole world fought for something better than just themselves.
It wasn't just the heroes, it was also Shia LaBeouf as the Silver Surfer. There was a lot of complaints about it not being Norrin Rad. I was one of them. But the way they portrayed that, where she became Silver Surfer because she didn't want her planet to die, her family to die, so she gave up her life in the service of Galactus. Like, that's the same thing that resonates. Like, it was all about family, all about sacrifice, all about doing the right thing, even in uncomfortable situations, and not letting anybody fall to the wayside. I'm excited to see how these characters take that type of character, humility, growth, and all that kind of stuff, and takes it into the main Marvel universe, and how they interact with these other characters who are more morally gray and all this kind of stuff. So
I got to take my two sons to a movie. So I had a family moment going and seeing a movie that was all about family, and it was clean, and it just felt good to be in a movie theater, eating our popcorn, drinking our ices as a family, watching something about family, and I didn't have to feel weird or wrong about taking my kids to see something like that. It was such a beautiful thing, and I think that we're going to see in the box office the ripple effects of this movie and how people are perceiving this movie. And I'm really, really excited to see where this ends up in the grand scheme of things as, in my opinion, one of Marvel's best movies to date and one of the best movies in a really long time.
Well, we would love to know what you think down in the comments. What did you think of this movie? Did the family dynamic resonate with you? Tell us your favorite part. Tell us what you liked about these characters, what you didn't like about these characters. We would love to know, to have this discussion. But like this video and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another Marvel video from us. But until next time, we are Fandom Fix. See ya.